What's up, Post Pros? How's everyone doing? We are back today, well, almost night already. It's already getting dark. Back with another video. We are finally getting back to the Jetta. This thing has been sitting for months. Last thing I recorded on was the turbo. Long story short, the exhaust fan got messed up and needed replaced. So I sent the turbo out to get a new exhaust fan and the whole thing balanced. Well, I sent that out probably about 4, almost 5 months ago, and there's no answer, nothing. Basically, they ordered a part straight from Garrett, and they're on back order, this and that. They can't get the part, blah, blah, blah. So impatient me bought another turbo. It's actually similar to the one I got for the truck. It is a G4900 Pulsar. I'll show you what that is. I also bought a bunch of stuff for E85, which I'll show you that. So right here's all the stuff I bought. This is 8AN fuel line. I bought a Bosch 044 inline fuel pump. There is a GM flex fuel sensor. I got Siemens 1200cc injectors, an 034 Motorsport billet fuel rail, AM fuel pressure regulator, and a bunch of fittings. I got a relay to go to the fuel pump. I got a fuel filter. Right now the only thing I'm waiting on is the fuel pressure gauge that threads in here. So I got all that stuff for the E85. I am going to try to get that all on. The turbo should be here in the next like 3 or 4 days. Also, I'm hoping the fuel rail will fit where the factory fuel rail is. I think it will. And I'm going to have to mount up all the lines and stuff. But that shouldn't be too bad. What do you think, kitty? What are you doing, bud? So right now I'm going to pull this factory fuel rail off and the 630cc injectors out. And I'm going to hope and pray that the aftermarket fuel rail fits right in this spot. Alright guys, here's the factory fuel rail versus the aftermarket one. You can definitely tell this one's probably going to flow more. Let's just take a second to admire how nice this thing is. It is all 100% billet aluminum. You can see like all the toolpath marks. They use like a little like 1/4 inch end mill or something. But this thing is sick. I went ahead and pulled this little cover off the end just to show you the machining marks in there and how it is a straight through design. Yeah, through the other end. You can see that's just a straight through hole on both sides. Like I said before, I'm going to be running 8AN line, inlet and outlet. So here's a size comparison. This inlet is probably 5 mil, 6 millimeter. Then this inlet is probably 12 or 14 mil. Here actually. So with a set of calipers, we're measuring about 5.41. So I'll just say 5.5 mil inlet and outlet going to the 630cc injectors. The 8AN, which is going to the aftermarket fuel rail, is at 11.2 millimeters. So that's over twice the size. Here's an inch reference. Inside is 0.4375. And on this one it is not even a 1/4 inch. 210 thou. That is definitely a huge improve. This thing should flow a lot better. These injectors are pretty much the same brand. They actually look really identical, almost identical to each other. I'm gonna have to make sure not to mix these up. That would really suck if I put a one 630cc injector in with the rest 1200s, that would lead to a tuning mess. So I'm gonna make sure not to do that. But yeah, I'm gonna get this end cap back on this fuel rail, and I'm gonna see if it fits on the car. Alright, I got that end plate on there and tight. I ended up replacing 2 of these bolts actually. Luckily we had the right size and the right length. This bolt was starting to break. You can see it's like, I don't know, it's not doing good. The head is like almost busted off. It's super crooked. I just didn't even use it. But I just discovered another problem. These injectors, I had these adapters. I believe this is EV1 to EV6. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, those fit on those injectors. Well, I thought these injectors were exactly the same, but these connectors aren't even close. They don't fit. I need to figure out what these are and what I need to adapt to for these injectors to work on the car. Even though I don't have the connectors, I'm still gonna put this on and verify that it fits, because it's questionable. This thing's pretty beefy, and the intake is pretty close. There's not a lot of room in between the cylinder head and the intake. Let's first look. Alright guys, I don't know how, but it fits. It is it is tight. You have to put the injectors into the cylinder head and then push the fuel oil on the injectors. It's kind of tricky. But the only thing I'm running into is this fitting. With it being a big, 8AN, it hits this right here, which I'm probably gonna get the grinder out and just do some clearancing, just enough to get this fitting threaded on and a fitting on top of that. It's super close to fitting, but it just doesn't fit. I'll have to rig that up a little bit. But yeah, it is close. But it all fits. This is all the way pushed down on the injectors. Alright guys, here's another problem. I can't get the bolts in where they're supposed to go because the intake is too close. Not a big problem. I can take the fuel rail off, put the bolts in, and then put the fuel rail on with the bolts in. This is gonna suck, but hopefully I shouldn't have to take this fuel rail off very often. It should just be kind of a one-time thing. Once it's on there, it shouldn't move for a long time. So yeah, it's gonna be a pain to get on, but I'm just hyped it fits because I didn't really want to make any modifications to that intake manifold because that's a lot of work, and I don't want to do that much work right now, especially with my brother not around. When he's around, I love doing that stuff because he's all about it too, and he's got, just a second set of eyes on it, and sometimes he's got better ideas than me, but most of the time I got the best ideas. But anyways, this fuel rail does fit. I'm gonna have to cut a little bit off of this tensioner right here, or something. I'll figure something out right there. And I need to get injector adapters to fit to the factory harness. Actually, I'm gonna try and just get new injector clips, or whatever you call them, because these are broken, like the little tabs that you're supposed to push to pull them off. A lot of them ended up breaking off, and we don't want none of them injectors coming unplugged, because when you're at 7,500 RPM going down the strip, and one of those for some reason comes unplugged, that cylinder has no fuel, which is not good. So yeah, I'm gonna find out which adapters I need, and I'm probably just gonna get like a little pigtail harness and wire them straight into the factory harness, so I don't have to deal with these broken clips. I'm trying to do it legit. I don't want to worry about it. I want to put it together once and have it done. Don't worry about it. Alright guys, this is as far as I'm going to get tonight. I got all the bolts in. As far as this tensioner goes, I've been sitting here thinking about it. To get this fitting on, I could probably take it off, them 3 holes right there, and drill these holes out like as big as I can get. The bigger I can drill these holes out, the through holes, the more I can turn this whole tensioner clockwise, and it'll push this down basically. That'll give me some room right there, and I can trim some off of this like aluminum cast housing or whatever you want to call it. But I think I can make that work because it's close now. But I also got to think, those end fittings are pretty beefy. You know, this big diameter is going to be right there too. So I'm probably going to have to move more than I'm thinking. But yeah, free rail is on. It fits. I don't know how, but it does. What's up guys? Day 2 of the flex fuel install on the Jetta. Right now I am tapping into the factory fuel pump. I got these fittings here. I got this one on already. I kind of have to modify them for them to work. Okay, so there's this little plastic clip. It clips on. Well, I had to cut that plastic clip down to kind of fit. And I have to grind, if you can see that, how it's shiny. Basically on the inside of this bore, there's a little lip, and it catches on that plastic clip. That's what holds these things in place. Well, I had to cut the plastic clip down to fit onto the factory fuel barbs, or whatever you want to call them, because they're too short basically. And this will not seat all the way down and clip into place. So I have to cut both of them down just a little bit for them to fit. I think it should work. I got the one on and it seems to be held in place pretty good. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one and see if it fits. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if it fits. So I ground this down a whole bunch. You can almost see the lip in there. And that just catches right on these little plastic, you know, clamp things. So you basically just push it down. Oh. It's close. Hold on. Yeah, I think I might need to go a little more because this one still ain't gripping on. If you can see this one, it don't come off. It's like on there. Alright, I got them both on there, and they are both solid. They are not moving anywhere. I did think about this though, and it's going to be next to impossible to get these things off because the clips are on the inside and you can't reach the clips. So, hopefully that's where I want them. Well, we're back on the Jetta today. I just got these adapters in the mail. This adapts to the 1200cc injectors. These are an EV1 connection. We just got some parts in the mail. Finally came. We got a new turbo and we got a surge tank. Now, I just put the fuel pump in there. I kind of changed directions with how I'm going to go with all this fueling stuff. I decided I need a surge tank. Ended up buying this. And instead of mounting the pump externally, it's going to go, you know, internally inside of this fuel cell. Or surge tank, I guess. Not really a fuel cell. So yeah, I'm just going to mount this in the trunk. And it's kind of going to go close to the same spot that the fuel pump was in, but back a little further. And this turbo is a Pulsar G40 900. It's rated for 900 horsepower. It's a 6270. So intake is 62 millimeters. Exhaust is 70 millimeters. This is definitely a little bigger than what I had before. It is a ball bearing turbo, and it is going to make some power. One thing I have to do is This exhaust is a 4-inch outlet, and my full exhaust is 3.5 inch. The other turbo is a 3-inch, and I stepped up to 3.5 inch. So this is the V-band that goes with this turbo right here. You can see it fits right on. So this is a 4-inch. I got this adapter, which is a 4 to 3.5, which will then fit in there, which will then go on there. It looks something like that. Kind of sucks I gotta adapt down, but all I have is a 3.5 inch exhaust, so we're just gonna make this work. Alright guys, surge tank is mounted. It is solid, ain't going nowhere. These bolts are loose. That's why it seems like it was moving a lot. But yeah, that thing is solid. It's not going anywhere. So, right here. This is the feed, that's the return. Feed is gonna go to one of these, say this one. So that's the feed inlet to that, and then this is the feed outlet, which will go to the fuel rail. And then from the fuel rail will be a return coming back. Well, the return's gonna go into here, and then a return from here is gonna come out of here and go back to here. This fitting here. Alright guys, so I got this little clamp here, and I modified it a little bit. This was threaded, and this bolt would fit through here and thread into itself, and it would just hold the lines together, like through the two slots, you know. But I drilled this hole out so the bolt would fit through it, kind of just a through hole, and basically it's gonna set right here. Both lines are gonna set in that, and I'm gonna put a nutsert underneath of this to where this whole bracket clamp thing is held stationary, and it'll hold these lines from moving around. Because, you know, if I'm driving, you know, whatever, I want these lines to be mounted kind of solid. So I got a little mark here. I'm gonna put a M4 nutsert in, and this bolt will thread right into that. These lines are now mounted solid. They do not move. I mean, they move here obviously, but that's a solid mount for these lines, and they can't go anywhere. So that's a start. I gotta run one more line from this. This is the return from the fuel rail. This is the supply to the fuel rail. So these two lines are gonna run right next to each other, and I'll do the same thing I did here over here. I bought 8AN bulkheads, and I'm gonna put them in the floor right here, because right now I just got a hole. Actually, that hole was already there. There's a little grommet over it, but I just took it away, or I just knocked that grommet out and stuck the line through it. But I'm gonna put some bulkheads there. It'll look a lot more clean and legit. Underneath the car, I did the same thing I did up there. You probably can't really see it. There's a little clamp here that I did the same exact thing. This thing is mounted solid to the body, and I got this feed line going to it. It's just coming out of here, going through that, and going up through that frame rail. You can tell it goes up, like right there. It goes up into the engine bay. The fuel line comes up straight through the back side of here. And I got it right here. I didn't cut it yet or anything, because I still need to put the fuel rail on. I still need to wire in the pigtails actually. So I got the supply line routed. I need to route the return line, wire up these pigtails, put the fuel rail back on, wire the fuel pump in with the relay, and wire the flex fuel sensor in. And after that, all of the fueling stuff should be done. I just got my other turbo back. Of course, I bought another turbo because this one was taking so long because they had to wait on parts or whatever. But as soon as I bought this one, they were like, oh yeah, this one's done, ready to go. So I think I'm just gonna throw this turbo back on because it is a name brand Garrett, and it'll bolt right up to everything I got because it was already on there. This one I'll have to modify a little bit because it has a 4-inch outlet, and this one only has a 3-inch outlet, which this one I step from 3 up to 3.5. This one I would have to, right here, go from 4 down to 3.5. Something like that. But for now, I'm just gonna put the Garrett back on and call it a day with this. This turbo is rated for 750 horsepower, or that's what Garrett claims. This turbo is rated for 900 horsepower. I'm not gonna make that much. I'm hoping for 650 horsepower, and this turbo will easily do that, even with the smaller back housing. And I probably won't go much more with this car. One, because the transmission can't really hold much more, and the clutch can't hold much more. They say these transmissions start having problems right around like 500 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna go to 500 foot-pounds and see what happens. I do have a spare transmission though, so if something does happen, I got parts. But I guess the next step from here would be to get straight cut gears. But people start to have problems with the cases splitting in half. They don't really make a billet case for an O2M. They do make a Quaife sequential transmission, but it's probably more than the entire car. I got everything all wired up. I got the bulkhead fittings right here. They're both tight. The lines are going down, and them go all the way up and right up out by the end of the engine bay. All right, we are finally all back together. The only thing I have left to do is to wire the flex fuel sensor. Everything else is pretty much done. I mean, there's a couple of little odds and ends I gotta figure out, but the turbo is all back on. Oil feed, oil drain going to it. I redid the oil drain line. Exhaust is all connected. Intake's all there. Dude, this thing is ready to go. So I'm going to cycle the key on and see if the fuel pump comes on. Alright, we got this line off, and I taped on a smart water bottle. Alright guys, sorry the camera died. But I cycled it a few times and it filled this water bottle up with fuel. And it all looks clean. The gas has been sitting in there like 3 or 4 months, but it's pump gas. I mean, it smells kind of bad, but I know it's just the place to put bad gas. The night before the dyno tune. I got it running pretty good. I'm just gonna go on a short little test drive, make sure everything's good. This is just cruising. This fuel pump is loud. I didn't think it's gonna be all that loud, but it is. Well, everything went smooth at the test drive. Everything's looking good. All the fueling stuff's looking good. First thing tomorrow, I'm going to the dyno to get it tuned. I'm not going to put that on this video. This video is already super long. If you guys hung out to the end, thanks for watching. You're the real OGs. But yeah, I think this is going to end it for this video. I'm going to have it on the dyno. I'm going to have a video posted here shortly, and I'm hoping for some power. I think it should make it with the 85. I'm probably gonna run some more boost, and yeah, we'll see. I'll see you guys later. Post signing off. Thanks for watching.